Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing No One Will Save You, streaming now on Hulu. Little home invasion movie with a twist. Let me introduce my crew, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'll save you.
So enthusiastic.
I'm doing good.
He's going to save our soul. All right, also joining us is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl. How you doing?
I'm great. And it's aliens.
Ah,
Just saying. That's not really a
I'm not going to say it's aliens. But it's alien. All right. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker and alien, Christopher G. Mohr.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You caught me reading the newest issue of Horror Hound magazine that has a thing called The Worst Laid Plans in it. Yeah, I'm doing well. You can find it at Barnes & Noble. Yeah, doing well.
Warrens
Did they
and
mention
Wobble.
the
I swear I
homage
thought
to
I heard you say Warrens and Wobble.
All
right, also,
Warrens and Warble?
Warrens and Wobble in an alternate universe.
Yes. Also joining us, rounding out the crew, is the one and only, say it with me, Dave Dreher.
Oh, look, guns don't kill people. Leatherface kills people. That should be all that stuff should be on shirts,
Hey,
right?
Christopher, I went out and supported your cause.
Yeah. I knew I liked you for some reason.
Also available at Books A Million. If you have a Books A Million anywhere, you can get them
Exactly.
there.
Oh, okay.
Also known as
Okay.
Wooks of William.
Where I picked
I'm
mine
gonna
up.
have to go do that.
Books of William.
Nice.
Stop by Books of William.
Wooks of William.
That's actually
All right.
a really nice write-up, actually. They did a very good job on that.
Too bad they spelled your name wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
They did mix up one of the.
Oh, did they? Did they? Oh, nice. Fun time.
MOHR instead.
Yeah. All right. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to review No One Will Save You. We're going to give you our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler free. Then we're going to get into discussion, and we will get into spoilers at that time. And spoilers there are. The ending will be discussed in length, I would imagine, as we try to figure out what in the hell.
But did we
happened.
all understand it? That's the
Yes.
Of
We all
course.
understand
This
the ending.
is
Yes.
simple.
We'll figure it out together. And then some of us are more simple than Then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. It's going to be a fun night. Please stick around with us. And if you enjoy the review and many others that we have on the site, please hit the like, subscribe, and share with a friend buttons. They're easy and free to do. And each click helps us find more horror fans just like you.
Yes.
Yay. All right, let's get a look at this card and get things going.
Don't
All
ever
right.
smile like that, Christopher.
No One Will Save You 2023 Hulu, available streaming on Hulu beginning September 22nd, 2023. The synopsis: an exiled, anxiety-ridden homebody named Christopher must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. It's written and directed by Brian Duffield. The cast includes Kaitlyn, Elizabeth, Kaluev, Zack, oh my God, why Zack? And Laura Nell Murray. I can do the last one and only the last one.
I don't blame you.
I'm so sorry for everybody.
Those came out of nowhere. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that's me. All right, let's get into things. Let's find out what our first impression was. And we are so happy to have Dave Dreher back in the mix. So he is going first.
Okay. I really love this movie. I was online kind of singing the praises. If anybody listens to my ramblings online, you already know how I feel about this. After I watched it, it just really struck a chord with me. I liked it a lot. I don't want to get into too much of it because once I start talking, I'm not going to be able to stop. But it certainly has flaws, and I'm sure we're going to point each and every one of them out. But at the end of the day, I just really love this movie a ton.
Are alien horror films in that account? Are they your subgenre of choice?
I just think a good story is kind of my subgenre of choice.
Ooh,
I think that, I don't know. I think they could have pulled this off without it being aliens. as well. I mean, this Brian Duffield, the director, I mean, he did it with exploding teens in his last movie. So why not aliens this time, right? But he just, I don't know. He seems to know how to. And I mean, there's seriously, other than some grunts and groans, there's maybe five words.
I'm sorry.
Less than that.
Yeah. I think she says at one point, she says, I can't remember the girl's name, but she says, I'm sorry. Whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And then she says, "I'm sorry" again right after it. So I counted 5 words. But there's some grunts and groans, and even like some of the scenes, I'm like, well, how are they going to get out of this without any dialogue? But he found a way. He found a way to do it. Personal interactions with no verbiage at all. That just really struck you right between the eyes.
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, loved it. Love this movie. Move along.
All right, Crystal, you're up next. What was your first impression?
So, this movie is actually very creepy. I think it's PG-13, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I think it definitely rides that line. Like, it was creepier. When I saw the PG-13, I kind of set some expectations, and it was creepier than I thought it was going to be. So that's a good thing. I love sci-fi horror films. I love alien films. This actually has like an alien kind of supernatural touch to it, but what is magic but science that we haven't or we don't understand yet, or whatever that quote is. Totally makes sense here. The lead character is very likable. I love that there's not much dialogue. I think that those are some of my favorite types of films. Obviously, I think if you could tell the story without it, then that means you've told a great story. Now, were you talking about Exploding Teens? Did he do Spontaneous or something?
Yeah, he directed and wrote it.
Yeah, he did Spontaneous. Yeah,
I love
which I think you and I both love.
Spontaneous.
I was gonna say, I think you and I both love Spontaneous. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so that makes sense because I love this film too. I think it's shot really well. I love the set design. Like I said, creepier than I thought, which works in its favor because I really loved it. I mean, I guess really we won't really be able to talk too much about it until we start getting into it because pretty much everything is a spoiler, I feel like. Other than this girl, doing her thing and then invasion. And I love the way it all goes down. It's not a slow burn. It starts off and you think it's going to be a slow burn because, you've got this slow kind of idyllic town. But then, I mean, I didn't time it. I don't remember how early it was in, but it starts off pretty quickly. So, I really enjoyed it.
Unlike most, we're not spoiling anything by saying it's aliens because in the
it says it's aliens.
In the first act, it jumps right into it.
But I think it's like it said, it's like you'll know it's obvious.
Obvious. Jeff, you're up next. What was your first impression? No one will save you, bud. No one.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I jumped on it right away when I saw Dave post about it instead of waiting. And Brian Duffield also did both the Babysitter movies.
Oh God, he's so talented.
Yeah. So anyway, and I'm a big fan of Kaitlyn Dever. Way back from Justified, she played a great character on there, recurring character. So I was fired up to see this on all cylinders, and I kind of like this whole idea because I watched it Friday night, I think, or maybe Saturday, but I watched that whole thing and never really thought about the fact that there wasn't any dialogue, wasn't any talking. It wasn't until afterwards I went, wait a minute. I don't know. So that's impressive. I remember when I was growing up, it was a big deal when, for some reason, Richard Harris did A Man Called Horse and Man in the Wilderness, which both had very limited.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Johnson was another one with Robert Redford that came out. It had
almost no dialogue, but so this I would like this. And I also love science fiction horror. It's really not, I guess, spoiling anything to say there's aliens because it was in the synopsis and that's on the poster. So it would have been nice if they didn't, because I didn't see the poster or read the synopsis before I watched it. but fairly quickly you get that idea just from the noises and those things. So a lot of tension. She does a lot of neat things. I think she has a good range on all these different emotions that she's having, fear and fierceness, and she's pretty awkward at the beginning. We find out later why. So she's basically living the life of a recluse. Yeah, I'll just stop there, but I liked it a lot, and I thought the effects were cool. I mean, obviously they were
Most is
CGI, but they looked pretty darn good.
I agree.
To me.
Yeah. Christopher G. Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of No One Will Save You?
Well, first of all, I think Duffield is one of the, I mean, he's hit it out of the park on a lot of projects. He also wrote Underwater.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and Love and Monsters. You remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
But I love the babysitter films. I love Spontaneous. So, and he's really great with dialogue. And so to have a film which doesn't have dialogue really takes a lot as a filmmaker and a writer, because you have to convey everything through like physicality, through the visuals. And in some ways, I feel like this is the film that actually E.T. almost became, because if you hear the stories, Night Skies, which was the original title for E.T., was supposed to be mean aliens, and Spielberg changed it to a nice alien. And in fact, these aliens kind of do the same thing as E.T. in certain ways. But man, I this had me tense from beginning to end. Granted, it does have those moments where you're like, why stop, move, run? why are you standing in one place for too long? So I did get being mad at the character sometimes, but I just love I love that, just through physical, and then also the physicality of the aliens as well. And you have, without giving too spoiler, there are different versions of aliens in this. That are, some are more scary than others. Yeah. Where I was literally, oh my God, I don't know what I would do if I saw that. And just the, how the certain technology and also just all the ways that she sort of gets out of these situations. And it made me think like, what would I do if, and first of all, I don't like home invasion movies. and a lot of the alien sort of, capture type movies always kind of creep me out. So I think combining those into something that sort of puts you in the realm of having to deal, oh crap, but yeah, as it plays out, more bits and pieces come out about these things, and it also has a sort of it has an interesting ending that feels very it just feels like a lot of the like Twilight Zone type stuff. It feels like an expanded Twilight Zone episode to some degree. But yeah, this is a really cool, well done. And yeah, I will say it's definitely stressing the, the limits of a PG-13, but I guess it's not so bad when you're killing big-eyed gray aliens. But yeah, it's got some, I think the special effects are great. The music goes between like more sort of that woo type stuff, the theremin. It almost feels like old school sci-fi, but then it goes more orchestral in parts. And just the technology and all the different things. But anyway, yeah, I could talk forever on this film. I like this film. This film is really well done. And I think the main negative I say, I really would have loved to seen this on a big screen. This would have been a great movie in the theater.
Yes. Yep. I need to correct something. I correct myself here. He wrote the first Babysitter movie.
Yeah.
The second Babysitter movie just says based on characters created by. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
My bad.
Still.
But he's responsible for the franchise. All right. How'd you get there? I
didn't do anything. It's aliens.
It's aliens. I'm not saying it's aliens. Okay, this movie is fantastic in a lot of ways. The minimalized dialogue, and that's understating it, because it's all done with body language. Everything is the actress. I mean, she carries the entire film. well, maybe the aliens help her, but at the same time, she really does. And even the aliens have their own language, and that's kind of presented as well.
Mm.
There's a lot of really cool things and concepts in here, and what she goes through is rather, well, it's the story, right? It's just amazing to watch, and the sound design above all else is phenomenal, because at the beginning of it, you hear the aliens running around the house on the roof, and coming down the hallway. The one scene you probably saw in the trailer where it's coming down the hallway toward her bedroom, it's just the increasing volume of thump 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 is a frightening sound, and playing this movie loud is a good thing. Yeah, it's not going to be PG. It's not going to be R, because there's no room for F-bombs when you don't have anybody talking. What I'm amazed, before we get into getting into the film, is we don't do Rotten Tomatoes on here terribly much, but the tomato meter is 80%, which is really strong. That's all the critics, but the audience score is only 58, and I am kind of astounded by that. I guess I don't know if it's the ending people aren't liking, or the lack of dialogue.
I think I know a lot of people don't like the ending.
I suspect that's what it is.
That was one of the best parts for me, though.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. But I think it probably appeals more to cinephiles than it does to.
It's out there.
Normies, if
it's
you will.
out there.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it makes the aliens more complex, rather than. So I think, I think that these intelligent higher beings, let's just be real, they would be more intelligent than us. Yep. They have telekinesis. They have telepathy. They obviously
intergalactic spaceships.
Yeah.
Before we get too far down this road, let's just state we're going into spoilers. If you haven't seen this film, I think we're all encouraging you to go do so. Come back here and listen to this discussion, because we're going to get into the depth of it. And if you're confused about the ending, like maybe one or two of us on the panel, we're definitely going to get into it. All right.
Yeah. I mean,
Crystal, go ahead.
I will say, I think the more you think about the main character and how she's kind of alienated from everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a sort of a great way to end it, just based on her character.
Yep. I totally agree. Like that. And I think that's the whole point of it. She fits in better, but because of the way humans have treated her.
Yeah.
She fits in better with them and we don't know if she's the only one that's living like this. Yep. There could be more than one. She was more of a pain in the butt for.
Well, she certainly
pain in the butt for them.
she offed a few of them. So, because she goes throughout the story. A tragic event in her past is revealed, and of course the town has every encounter with people in the town display how they feel about this event, even before we know about what it is. Especially the parents of her best friend. And what's interesting about that is what did happen, right? Because she is the isolation of her, what happened to her? Did she get sent off to juvie? What happened with her between, the event and when we see now? And
I don't think it matters.
Well, maybe not, but it makes for a very complex character.
I mean, obviously something had to happen. There was some sort of recourse. But here is where my thought process differs from probably most people. That little bitch of a friend she had pushed her and she fell, and that she could have hit her head on a rock and she could have been the one that died just as easily.
Yep.
Just as easily. So for me, I feel like
well, it was it's a tragic accident,
of course,
but the outcome of it certainly affected her.
But even 10 years we're 10 years after the fact, and people still just stare at her
or spit
waves at them, and they won't wave back at her. And her mom has died in the last 3-4 years, something like that.
Yeah, recently. Yeah, recently.
Although she's got a pretty damn nice house and land.
She does. She does.
I mean, everybody's there, everybody's shitty to her in the community, but I don't know. I'd love that. Plus, she's very quirky. Makes her own
if you want to go live in the middle of nowhere, I mean, it's a lot easier to afford something like that.
We talk sometimes about how the drone shots sometimes get overused, even though I just love the look of them. This one, there's real purpose to them.
Exactly.
Because you see the circles in the lawns along the road, the buses on and that kind of stuff.
That's really
well. And again, that's I agree with that. This is one of the few films that we watched recently where I'm just like, really?
It's not just a gorgeous shot.
It's like how many times do we have to overuse this? But it's all for a purpose and a plan, and it just adds to the creepiness because one of the great things of the movie is how many times people are dealing with things that happen to them, like somebody breaks into your house or whatever, and she's like, I'm just going to take a bus and get out of this place. I was like, wow, we never see characters do that, but then you realize she's not going to be able to escape. And I think when using that drone shot to sort of show like, oh crap, she's not the only one being affected by this. It adds so much to this. Again, it's all about visual storytelling. You don't necessarily have to have somebody telling you like, oh, look at those circles out there.
Yep, and the fact that the circles were there shows that they've been casing the area because she's trying to watch. She thinks something's happening to her lawn, so she's water. I thought that was funny. Yep. I think that's clever.
Yeah, I mean that escaping from the bus scene with the way the humans, if you will, air quote, what would you call them, Jeff? This was body snatchers. The body snatchers.
Well, and that was
the creeps.
That's really creepy. Yeah,
that's another trope that always gets me is that, and they don't keep you in suspense very long in this one, but the idea that the people you're dealing with are not who you think they are. Has always freaked me out, going clear back to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original one. So, or it came from outer space, right?
Yeah, I was thinking Night of the Creeps a little bit too. So,
the pod people are scary. Before I want to touch on the special effects because Dave has a connection to the special effects world. Dave, I think there was some practical effects in here. But there's a lot of CGI, obviously, because of the shape of the aliens. But what did you make of all of it?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think we definitely had some prosthetic aliens, if you will. But I think for the most part, there was a couple times on the first time I viewed it, I felt like the CGI was kind of a little herky-jerky at times. But in repeat viewings, I kind of rescind that a little bit because I think it's just the way the aliens were constructed.
Some of it's on purpose.
Themselves. Yeah, and that came across in repeated viewings. So overall, I think it was pretty good. But I really think like the scene where she stabs the one in the neck or in the head, that seemed to be a prosthetic type thing because she kicks it a few times and pokes at it, and does a couple other things. So, I mean overall, but it's not a bloody show at all. I mean, a little bit,
even though she manages to kill like 3 or 4 of them.
It's not gratuitous.
Yeah, the one scene you're talking about is ironic, but we don't learn about how ironic it is until later.
Absolutely.
Accidental.
Yep.
Yeah, well, she kind of spins around and nails it. Yeah, kind of similar.
Well, and I think instead of it just being all the same type of aliens, it was kind of nice seeing the different versions because there was like the smaller one, and then the big one. I was like, crap! I think I would crap my pants if I saw that crawling over the house.
When she's down in the basement, that small one that kind of like does the little. Like I don't.
Oh yeah, where it's doing the weird.
Well, it does the physical moves.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Especially
I'm not sure about if the other two sizes did, but the big one had 3 boned arms. They had.
You can make those weird hand things.
Of the arm. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, they definitely communicated with where their arms were.
First see the feet of the one when she's hiding under the bed.
Oh yeah.
That's it gets up on the little tippy toes and
and I think we get to see them full-fledged later, but I think the way that they hid a lot of the aliens in the very beginning was so well done up until the point where she sees it, looking over the fridge door.
The fridge door. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, and I think also the technology of the almost like the beam from the ship was kind of cool, to where almost like it could scan and as long as you're not within the path of it, there was
kind of froze you. Yeah.
And it's like when we talk about the supernatural stuff, it's interesting how these aliens can kind of like psychokinetic control you, or almost like when she's pinned, it's almost like sleep paralysis to some degree. So it's kind of interesting that these aliens have like the same type of thing like demons and stuff would have. So, and it just made some really, I mean, that part where she's trapped and it's sending that alien from its mouth is like, oh God.
Yeah. An interesting scene that follows that dream sequences or whatever it's not really a dream sequence, more of a hallucination, right? Is when, and she realizes what's going on. So well crafted, so great storytelling, shows the strength of the character.
When she crams her arm down the throat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and it also made me realize maybe all these people who have the aliens in their throat, they're all just in this sort of separate dream world, sort of like to get out.
They have no idea anything's wrong, right? So they're off in the Matrix having a ball.
Well, I thought it was neat too how once I realized there wasn't really any dialogue, how the exposition, quote unquote, is done through when she's writing notes to her dead friend. You learn a bunch. I really miss you. I can't believe it's been 10 years. I'm so sorry. I hope you can forgive me. And you kind of figure that out, because nobody's talking to her. She's sort of a pariah in the town. And then that one flashback where you actually see exactly what happened
through the alien technology.
Right. Not really a flashback, more of a memory,
a replay.
But they're all like almost in the beams of the ships, and so it was such visually. I mean, visually, the way they did that, is just
well.
Really
so, did you
cool.
think the ending when she was going through that? I felt like they were kind of analyzing what to do with her.
Of course.
Well,
they were talking about
Is that
it.
what you guys thought? Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, because she stood out, right? She stood out as a unique individual, and not like the herd of the rest of the.
And it's oddly enough, I don't think they actually intended on killing anyone. It felt like to me like they weren't trying to kill people, like they just wanted to control us.
Right.
Not that that's any better, but I think because I mean, come on, they could have killed her easily. Like that was not.
Well, and they didn't
question.
hold it
They
against
weren't
her
trying
that
to
she
kill
killed some
her.
of them.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
Because I mean, of course, they know what they would have done. Try to fight back, of course, to protect themselves.
They seem to respect it. They seem to respect her for her efforts, which was interesting. Which, and I don't know, reward might be too strong a word, but they don't seem to pod person her and let her dance away to the
they
future.
kind of give her peace in a weird kind of way. I mean, they kind of give her the life she was looking for. Does that make any sense?
Yep.
So
I mean, she was already alone, so it's no different really than what she had before.
Well, nobody was judging her anymore, right? The people weren't judging her.
She's at the dance with the boy, and it's like
so they did.
Her friend was alive.
So they're able to recreate your DNA using what they put in your throat.
Yeah, apparently that thing grabbed.
I guess.
So is all those people, were they just recreated?
No, I think they were
they just
all
the
being
ones in
controlled.
the end.
Being controlled, kind of a Matrix-y
they're
type
being
of thing.
controlled.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't talk.
We're all in the little pods with the things crammed to the back of our necks. We just don't realize.
Well, I didn't know. Why would they need to recreate her DNA unless they just wanted to, I guess, get rid of her? Why would they do that if they could just recreate her DNA?
That might have been another experiment. I don't know. I mean, the mailman, the people that you could see the thing in the neck.
Maybe if you get hurt,
they weren't recreated. At least I assume they weren't.
They're like drones almost, or
it might be for healing.
So I don't know. That's a good question.
She almost
Nobody
killed
else.
That one guy.
Yeah. Wow, I forgot that too. She killed herself.
The the very ending almost like turned very Tim Burton. The very ending. Felt like Mars Attacks a little bit.
Yeah.
Like they took that dude up into the ship, what I'm assuming, to heal him, to make him better.
Well, he wasn't intended to go up. Didn't they drop him?
They dropped him back to the earth.
Oh,
they
they did, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, they dropped him back.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to get her, but he.
I think they thought they had her, and they realized they didn't. They're like,
well, they made half of them.
Never mind. Maybe they're like, loser.
Damn it. Kind of like the claw machine when you're trying to get the.
Yeah.
Well, I thought there was some of that, some of the music or the sounds too, were the low hum and loud sort of, I don't know what you call it, bellows, was reminiscent of Close Encounters to me. Not as loud, but it was the same type of noise.
Sounded like signs too, like that. I mean, all aliens
War
sound like that now?
That kind of had that sound of that War of the Worlds. That,
yeah. I accept those sounds as alien sounds. That's just a thing now.
Perfect. And the ship's coming out of the clouds. Even though we've seen that a dozen times, it's still just so effective.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also, I mean, we talk about signs. It's just nice to see these type of stories told on a smaller level, because they always make like alien attack movies are always like, hey, we're killing the whole world, as opposed to it being just like a very, specific person that we're following their story involving it, which I think to me is much more interesting and more impactful and more entertaining.
But we do get glimpses of the grander scope of it.
Oh yeah, to some degree, but it's still about the one specific person.
So did we touch on the ending enough to explain it, or?
I think
what do you mean explain it?
I mean, because is that what I saw? Is that they basically set her free to live among the aliens as pod people, and then she was just thrilled to be.
It just is. It's very simple.
It was her happy ending, right?
People waved and smiled at her as opposed to before.
No judgment. No judgment. Yeah, no judgment. She was happy.
She spun into the screen and smiled at us.
She got. Yeah, I love that.
I think a lot of it was
Twilight Zone.
They knew she would accept it, so I think, her accepting them was them accepting her. So, if coexisting. Which is super creepy. But let's be real. She was able to do that because she had nobody. I think the problem is if you had someone, that would be different. But she had nobody.
Yeah, and it's it's the pun of it, but yeah, she's definitely very alienated in her world, and and it's funny that we always think of like these aliens being like having no humanity or empathy or sympathy or anything, and they almost kind of I think they just felt sad for her. When they tapped into her brain, and they're like, ooh, et, they tapped into her brain and then like saw all she was dealing with, living this sad sack as existence, and then they're like, hey, come with us.
Yeah, because in their minds, they were giving these people they were taking over that happy ending anyway.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're probably keeping you humans from killing each other.
Although now I'm wondering how the world's going to exist now. What are they going to? People not going to work at McDonald's anymore? What I don't know. They're all going to be dancing in the street. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they will, but they'll just smile and go like that. I don't know.
Somebody's got to collect the trash. Let's touch on just really briefly because we need to wrap this up. But Kaitlyn Dever, it's Dever, right? Not Dever. Is it Dever or Dever?
Yeah, Dever.
Let's talk about her performance, because literally this film rests on her shoulders. There's not really a supporting cast in this.
Well, I feel like she did great, but I didn't even really. This is going to sound horrible. She did great, obviously, but I didn't even notice her performance really. I think this dude is super good as a director.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, she was fabulous. Don't get me wrong, but there was never a moment where I thought, man, she's doing a great job. It was the whole frame.
Well,
I
think if she, but at the same time, I feel like if we didn't have her performance, it would fall apart.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
for sure.
her,
That's why I said she did great.
Yeah. I mean, she's an integral part of that.
Mhm.
But I think for her to go through so many levels of emotion and having to act without dialogue, that's very hard to do, you know, to be the physicality of doing things, or just seeing the frustration in how she moves, or being upset and crying, or being scared. I mean,
you can tell right off the bat that she was very reticent or timid or awkward or social, you know. When she was getting ready to go out, you could tell she was really nervous and worried about it. The fact that the mailman comes with a package for her that's like basically her whole life, right? She doesn't run down to meet the mailman.
Oh no, he kind of slam dunks the.
Well, yeah,
he's not a very good mailman.
He had a lot of respect for her.
No,
but anyway, yeah, I thought she did great on all those ranges too. You know.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene, and the same order. So that means you, Dave,
back to me,
are first.
Yeah, I think Kaitlyn Dever was spectacular. Really, Crystal, I think you saying the fact that you didn't recognize her performance is actually probably the highest praise you could give to the lady.
Probably,
she was so good, you just didn't realize, you know, that how good she was. I think she was spectacular in this. Really, honestly, she was. It was just a phenomenal performance. I like this a lot. I am giving this a 5. It will likely.
Nice.
We don't know what the rest of the year will bring, but like I said, much like Spontaneous did, this one just struck a chord with me. This is a movie I will likely visit many times over. Man, favorite scene is tough on this one because there's so many good ones. I'm going to go with as far as creepy, spooky scene. I'm going to go with the bus scene when she's trying to get out of town, and it all kind of goes haywire. You know, with the dude climbing across the seats and you know all that. That was just unexpected. I did not expect that to happen. I mean, you knew when the guy from the back of the bus like snuck up behind her, you're like, oh, something's going down. But I didn't expect it to go down. Yeah. But then I was completely blown away by the scene, and I don't think anybody else will take this, so excuse me. I'm going to take a little liberty and pick like another small scene. But when she goes in to report what's happened at the house to the police, and she runs into the mom and the dad, and I was thinking at that point in time, you kind of know, like, okay, they're going for very little or no dialogue in this whatsoever, and you're like, how is she going to get out of this face-to-face confrontation without having to utter a word? And I mean, I won't spoil it, but the way that Duffield managed to do that in the writing part of it and in the performance part of it is just breathtaking. It really is. How that they all those emotions in that probably 45-second scene. Amazing. Yeah. Just really was amazing.
We do get an
but that's not dialogue. That
doesn't not dialogue. It's an
Mm-mm.
Crystal, what's your score and your favorite scene?
I'm going to give it a 4.25. This will probably make it in my top 10. This and Satanic Hispanics, which are two vastly different films.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with the first part that actually did kind of give me a little. And it's when it's the refrigerator. Like first,
oh my God.
Like you know that it knows she's there. You just know it. You just know it. Even though you don't know it, you know it. And then you see the feet. And then it's really when the hand came over and I'm like, no, oh my God. And you know what?
There's nowhere for her to go. So
you know what? You're right. Because I will tell you that I totally could see her starting to think fight or flight, like at that point. Like I saw those wheels turning and I was like, she's going to push it. You got to push it, girl. You got to fight or flight. So that was, I was like, no, that actually was super tense for me. Makes me a little sick. Like, I'm like, what are you going to do?
It was that way.
Yeah.
Very much so. Jeff, sir, what was your score and favorite scene?
I'm going 4.5, and I think this may well be in my top 10. Although there's a lot of content coming out in the next month or so. I will. Favorite scene. Wow. I'm waffling between two, but I'm going to take the sort of the fight she has with the smaller one. I think that's when it was, and she's
when it
doing
goes on all fours.
Oh, well, she
faster than
maybe it's the one in the kitchen right after the refrigerator scene. She like leverages her arm down, on its arm, and then bites his other arm.
Oh yeah.
Its other arm. And then as soon as she gets away, she's spitting it out. Something about that. I thought, now that's attention to detail.
The way it reacted, though, Jeff, how it's like, you're a mean girl.
You're a mean girl. That's exactly what it sounds. Perfect. Christopher, what's your score and favorite scene?
This gets I'll give this a 4.5. I can't give it a 5 because I got so mad at the character like pausing so many times, like, girl, you in danger, move. But as for favorite scene, I could say like the early on when the thing's in the house and you can see it just moving behind things, but I think when that the big ass one is coming at her, because I was like, oh my God, what the hell is that? Because it's almost like a spider, almost like a spider Slender Man looking thing, and when it's just something that big coming after you, it felt like
busting through stuff, right?
Walked over the house.
When it walked over the house, man, if I saw it looking over my house, man, I'd probably have a heart attack. I wouldn't know how to deal with that. I think also this film made me realize I need to get out of my house more, because I can relate to that girl a little too much. So I think your jab at me earlier, Doc, was probably a little spot on. I feel ashamed.
It was all in good fun. I'll give this 4.5 as well. And it's kind of hard not to have secure a spot on the list. If not, then there's a lot of good crap out there this year. Then this movie blew me away in a number of different fashions, from the all the things we talked about, and it's just amazing, and I highly recommend you watch it. I'm since you guys haven't mentioned the scenes, I'm gonna pick two. The first scene that really got me was the scene when it's hand-to-hand confrontation with the one in the hallway, and she, without knowing what she's doing, she whacks it in the throat and it dies. But that whole scene, just with her figuring out what to do with it and putting, and then, because the door is busted open right at this point, and she just pushes the couch up against it, but it obviously isn't going to do shit because there's so many things. But it was just like that whole scene just was just like it's almost like the first time you get a breath too. From when the alien invasion starts, that's when you get a moment to go, holy crap, what just happened? And
you got to try something.
The second thing is, and we didn't mention it all, is the car scene when it happens right after the thing crawls over the house, and she goes to get in the car and it attacks her in the car, and how she gets out of it. Of course, we get the Chekhov's lighter, so we have that. But that whole scene was just like, it was tense, and you're waiting for her to
box cutter as well.
Yeah, Chekhov. Oh my God, Chekhov's box cutter. This is great. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say the other one I was thinking of is her encounter with herself, and
in the ship.
Which, what the doppelganger does to her, and then she collapses on her, and it's like a hug, but and then sitting there cradling her. I thought that whole thing was very.
Oh, it's symbolic too, right? Because she's
absolutely.
Basically shedding her.
There's a lot of symbolism. In fact, the very beginning, she has her own little town. So she's an alien above. She's an alien floating above her own town.
A town where everybody.
Of course, and it gets destroyed. So I wonder what that.
It's funny because I was just putting out my spooky village like right before I watched this, and I was like, It's a little too.
You're gonna be attacked, Sam.
Yeah. Like,
Mama.
Sean won't save you.
Dear God, Mama. What?
All right. There you go. That's our review for No One Will Save You. Check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
The real question is, who's going to save Sean?
No one will save you.
Yeah,
we already know.
I'm gonna have to. I mean, I run faster than him, so he's gonna have some problems.
You're gonna stumble. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
They can't get the alien through his beard, so he'll be okay.
Be like lost in the jungle of hair. All right, guys. Crystal, Jeff, Christopher, thank you for joining me. Dave, welcome back.
Yes.
Yay,
Thank you.
Dave.
Great,
All right.
Dave.
Let's say goodnight. Let's get out of here.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night, everybody.